All right, we're live. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our top games of 2020. I'm Mandi Hutchinson.
I'm Ashley Gariepy.
And, well, I already said it. We're doing top games of 2020. It's not numbered, so let's be clear. Well, mine aren't.
Well, it's like there's a whole lot of like disclaimer that we need to have here.
Okay,
You
you can
you
go
you
ahead.
do your disclaimer, I'll do mine.
Okay, so for those who know me, you are aware that I did my top 10 games of 2020 with the Dice Tower, and that hasn't changed, but there have been some additions or alterations. So the ones that you saw are still there with some additions. I didn't number them. I'm not big on numbering games anyway, so this is just more of a discussion. So that's my end of it. And Ashley?
My disclaimer is that I also hate top tens because I'm so like indecisive that I changed my list 4 times yesterday when I made it. So I numbered them because so even with that aside, I numbered them because I wanted it to be clear that like my games in like my 10, 9, and 8, I don't like as much as like my 1, 2, 3 games. Even though like the difference between 10, 9, and 8 is very insignificant,
Sure.
it's the difference between 10 and 1 is huge. So I wanted to have some sort of like ranking system, even though I hated it. And I cheated a couple times.
Did you now? Surprise, surprise. That's okay. But, oh, hey, Mikhail's in the chat. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
You can
it's been
let
a while.
us know if you and Omar's in there. Hello. So Ashley, you haven't been on for a little while, but Omar and Mikhail have been following me while I do my solo series. So it's been very nice to have friendly faces. And funny story, while we're here, everyone said we were talking, and everyone's like, "Oh, we'd love to see you do Dune as a solo." So funny story,
Oh,
it actually arrived at the door yesterday. So I'll be cracking it open and hopefully try and do that. Apparently, there's an app for the solo thing, so the solo method. So we'll see how that goes, see how we play it out. But yeah, there you
that
go.
is interesting. Now, Mandy, do you think you would do? I'm not trying to volunteer for anything. Do you think you would do Pax Pamir? Because that's a game that you've wanted to play for a while, and apparently it has a very good solo.
So it is hard enough for me to already do solo. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, this is painful. As much as I want to play Pax Mirror, it's a possibility, but that might be one that I have to play a lot in order to not make a complete fool of myself.
And again, I don't want to volunteer you for anything. I was just curious
No,
because
I
it's
would love to,
supposed to
but
be a really good game solo. Well,
it's
period.
gonna have
But
to, that's gonna be one I'm gonna have to plug away at for a while before that comes to the table. So Dune and the ones I've been doing are kind of like, good. Pax Premier is right up my alley, but the solo bit is the part that throws me for a loop. So, and hello, Winnie the Pooh Hug. Thanks for
yes, it's so
joining
nice to see. I haven't been on your stream, well, your stream. I haven't been
our
streaming
stream.
with you for a while, because life has gotten in the way.
Sure.
Um, but it's so nice to see our regular folks here.
I know, it's so good. I'm telling you, you're missing out. It's like great. We've had some few new additions, but anyway, that's something we can talk about later. I'm very excited as well. Before we start, I got a new monitor. It's a 4K 28-inch. It's Asus. Asus.
Woo!
It's sitting over here beside my Xbox Series X because I wanted
I
to
was gonna say
play.
for your Xbox.
Yeah, so I'm ready to set it up, but I'm like, oh, good gravy, that's going to be a thing. Because currently, until my basement is done, I'm in a really kind of a smallish area, so my monitors are just going to fit. Like, yeah, it's going to be
Oh my
close.
gosh.
So I'm really excited for my monitors, and then we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm. Anyway, technology is a bad thing in a way that it's a rabbit hole. You keep going further and further down. You're like, I got this. Oh, but this is out and it's better. I'm trying not to do that. The monitor was like the only step. I just built this computer last year, so I think we're good.
That is fair. And you were saying that you wanted a new monitor to go with the new graphics for the Xbox and stuff
Right. And the
to
other
fully
monitor
experience.
that I have here is a bit smaller. This was my big one. This one's a bit smaller, and I wanted one that were like kind of closer in size. So, anyway, that's it. So I guess people are here to hear the list.
Yes. So my ranked one, Mandy's not ranked one. I cheated. Mandy didn't cheat because she didn't put any restrictions on herself. Good for you, Mandy. You know yourself well. So do you want me to do my number 10?
Yeah, sure. And Winnie the Pooh hug. Yeah, I say that now, and I'm already looking at a new graphics card. I don't need a new graphics card. I'm just like, oh, but it's calling to me. Let's not talk about it, because then before you know it, I've built a whole new system. Okay.
Okay, so my number 10, I've cheated already. There are 2 games on my number 10 because I just couldn't decide where they belong. We have Chronicles of Crime. Oh, I'm a little bit in the movie away. Chronicles of Crime 1400 and Super Skill Pinball 4K. I didn't mess up the name because it's on my screen.
I know, because there's so much, right, to remember.
Yeah. So do you want me to talk about them?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So Chronicles of Crime 1400 is a standalone Chronicles game in the Chronicles of Crime universe. It's like a app-driven detective sort of game. This one is set in medieval Paris, which is like awesome. And it's also the first in the Millennium series. So there's two other games. There's Chronicles of Crime 1900 and 2400. That's going to be following the same family as you go through. And for me, Chronicles of Crime was, I think it was my second favorite game of 2018, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Okay.
It's just like beautiful. Like I love Sherlock Holmes consulting detective, but I found that it was missing the element of like time.
Right.
And Chronicles of Crime, you add the element of time by using the app, right? Where things can happen, events can happen. I think that's just brilliant. I'm obsessed with Chronicles of Crime, to be honest. And 1400 did not disappoint. Do you have anything to add about 1400 before I start talking about pinball?
But 1400 is not on my list, but I've only played the one little piece that we played together with Suzanne. So if I can get more of it, I'm definitely think it will be on the trajectory of like, yeah, I really like it because I do like the Chronicles of Crime series. I just need to play this one a little bit more. But I mean, it's a good pick overall. And I think this one doesn't play too bad virtually. And I throw this in because this is the time we're living in right now. And I thought it played pretty well. So, no, good pick. And I hope to play more of it.
Nice. So then the second number 10.2, because I'm cheating, is Super Skill Pinball 4K, which is a roll and write pinball game that is just captures the essence of pinball so well.
Yeah.
I remember when we first played it, we played this one remotely. Suzanne had a copy, and Mandy, you and I did not have a copy, so we downloaded the free copy from WizKids.
Right.
And there was just so much joy, like in my heart and on my face when we played this, because it just felt like I was playing a game of pinball with like it was great. So yes, so this one is a great roll and write, and not the only roll and write on my list.
Oh, look at that. So this is the only roll and write currently that I have on my list. Doesn't mean that others weren't fantastic. It's just the games that I played, right? It's few and far between, unfortunately, this year. Not as many as I normally would. This one is great, and I've played through quite a few of the different types on there.
Yeah.
I really, really liked this one. I mean, I love pinball. So for those who did watch the Dice Tower top 10 that I did, this was on my list. And I love pinball. So anybody who knows me, I think I got a couple people message me on Twitter, which machines do you like? And I think I gave like 7. I'm like, I have so many that I'm obsessed with. So I'd stop there. This is at least I can do this in the comfort of my own home and still get that pinball feel to it. I do find, and I'm going to say this, I do find the game long.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah, it does kind of go on the long side for me so much. Don't really care as much because I like the theme and I like the game. But if you're looking for a quick roll and write, this is not it. So
absolutely,
I definitely think there's a bit more meat here, a bit more going on. So if you have the time and the theme really appeals to you, I definitely think this is one you should absolutely, absolutely try. So I do see some comments here, if you don't mind here, Ashley. So yeah,
I saw Mikhail's, and I don't want to talk about those games because they may or may not be on our list.
Oh, okay. So we'll get to it because unfortunately, one of those games is one that I would like to play. I just don't have it. So this is going to be a doozy. Maybe I can try and do a solo on Tabletopia or something. We'll see.
There are things coming up.
All right. We'll stop. I won't go too far ahead there. Both solo L. See, they're giving me more solo game ideas. Oh gosh, let's hope this doesn't progress with me doing solos all the time. Oh goodness.
Mandy, did you ever play, before we leave this?
Yeah.
Pinball. Did you ever play Pokemon Pinball on the Game Boy?
I never had a Game Boy. So for all of you who had lots of money when you were kids, this
whoa,
girl right here did not have a Game Boy. I borrowed my friends because that was not a thing that I had. But I mean, I had the Sega Genesis and the Nintendos and stuff, but I never had a Game Boy. They were really expensive.
What are you talking about? Those of you who have lots of money, you just named like all the childhood gaming systems.
Yeah, that, to be fair though, that's like a thing that like we put together and bought, because I have 2 brothers, right? But Game Boy was really expensive. And I think for me at the time, I had to make decisions. So sharing a Game Boy with my brothers versus sharing Nintendo, that was the better route.
My uncle bought me my Game Boy. He was like a single bachelor who had like a lot of like disposable income, and so he spent it on his nieces and nephews. So he bought me my Game Boy.
Oh, okay. That's
so that's the reason why I have it. But Pokemon Pinball is the best pinball video game I've ever played in my life, and I still play it to this day on my original Game Boy.
So there you go in the chat. If you've played it, let me know how amazing it is. I have not played it.
So good, Mandy. When we get to, maybe you and I will play on my Game Boy one day.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the sharing days.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll do my next one. So my scenes are set up a little bit differently than yours, so I might leave it on as I talk and then take it off. So Bees is one that I enjoyed, and I think we all enjoyed, if I'm not mistaken, because we all played this on a live stream on
It's on my
Twitch.
list.
It's on your list too. At first, I have to tell you, it concerned me with the bees and the little. Here, and I'll switch back because it does look weird me not talking. The little bottoms of them. Do you know what I mean? Like the numbers. I was like, oh, this looks like it's gonna be super like hella complicated, and I was just like, oh, I don't know about this. But then when we started playing it, it's endearing. It's about bees, which I enjoy, and the movements are really clever. And you really have to sit and think about, okay, I only have this many movements to move here, but I really want that big juicy nectar, and it'll give me another one. But then if I move here, I'm setting myself up that I can't get something after that. Like there are a lot of things that you have to consider while playing. So yes, pretty straightforward rules, but actually playing it and getting that strategy, definitely burned the brain a little bit. So Bees was really good for me. I mean, I like Bees in general, but it's an actually good game. Vibrant colors. That really appealed to me as well. So I know, Ashley, you said this is on your list. Not surprised, by the way.
Yeah, that's fair. Anybody who knows me could expect this. Like, I love bees. I'll talk about my thoughts, but I will say, just going off of what you said, that it is 100% in the next moves games, like style of game, where it's like very simple rules, but the depth and like what you put into it is just like, it can be intense. It's good. It's great. But so, more to come.
More to come. Unfortunately, this one I can't play solo, so this one I can't do. But we did do a stream of this.
I know.
I did post it on the
every day.
I know it would be great, but I think that one I'd make the exception for. So, and looking at the chat, Mikhail says Game Boy didn't exist when I was a kid.
Wow.
Showing
everybody our age.
Well, how long is Game Boy? I'm trying to think.
It was like an early '90s game.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Might not have thing. I wasn't a kid either, but I still really wanted one. Apparently, they're like making a comeback, but I guess the Nintendo Switch would be the equivalent. Yeah. So there you go.
Should I go with my number 9?
Yeah, keep it rolling.
All right, my number 9 is Whistle Mountain. So I have only ever played this on Tabletopia. And Mandy, you can attest to how much I struggled with that because
yes.
of just this. For those of you who don't know, Whistle Mountain is a game with a lot of bits. It's an engine building, polyomino placement, like excellent game.
Mm-hmm.
But goodness, don't play it. I mean, you should try it on Tabletopia if you want, but it is hard. Like it took a long time and it took a lot of energy. But it's a testament to how good the game is that even though I struggled through my gameplay of it, it's still my number 9 because it was really, really good. I really want to play this in person, but we just can't, and it makes me.
I know, mine's still in the shrink. I might actually just open it to see the pieces and take some pictures of it and show people. But yeah, I've played it a few times now on Tabletopia. It is hard to play. There's a lot, and I find with the movements and stuff, it actually does throw me off a little bit. And the constant of having to lock pieces down so they don't move while you're playing is a little irritating. But I mean, I'm happy that I had a way to play it. So Whistle Mountain is also one that I had, that it was not on my Dice Tower list, but I don't think I had played it enough at that point in order for it to make the list. So I have played a lot since then, and Whistle Mountain, if I say Whistle Stop, I'm so sorry. It like slips out.
It's your struggle.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, don't let me say it. Whistle Mountain. Whistle Stop is also a good game, but Whistle Mountain is the one we're talking about now. So I really liked this one, and both games I've played, I think, was our score close? I know when I played with Suzanne, it wasn't too bad. Like, we had a close-ish kind of score. But I like the fact that we could both take different routes and still gain a lot of points. Like, it wasn't like, oh, you have to play this specific way in order to get the points. But once you had a kind of an engine going, however you decided to do it, it really, you could get it really going and get lots of points throughout the game. So, and sometimes you had to help each other. Sometimes you had to like, I'll just put this here for now and then cover it with water or something later and hope it flooded. So then someone didn't get their little worker on there to move it and get points. So I did like that interactivity. Like, you couldn't just focus on you. You actually had to pay attention to what other people were doing, because, you could be in trouble and get your little workers in the whirlpool, and, that wouldn't be good.
And then you lose points at the end of the game. Although, I don't know if in your place, but when I played, I haven't found that was too much of a struggle, but I think it's probably because I played at lower player counts. I think that with more players, well, I don't know, have you played it with 4?
No, so I played it again with Susanna too, and I think because when we played it was our first play, we didn't really kind of push that, but Suzanne and I, because pushing that pushes the game end, right? So Suzanne, and I think it was Suzanne playing with Suzanne, she was really trying to push her workers. I was like, oh shoot, she's really like getting her workers. So I was making me want to get my workers over on that side to get the points. And I did find that our flooding happened much faster than when we played.
Interesting.
So I
That's
think it just depends on the approach you take, which will
mhm.
depend on how that plays out. Like in our game, I found it took a long time for that to happen. It wasn't really a thing. I had to hustle my buttons when I was playing with Suzanne. She was pushing that. So yeah, it can be a factor.
But yes, to go back to what you asked, yes, our scores were very close. Within the game itself,
Sure.
they were quite like different,
Right. And then they,
but we took different approaches, and your approach had more end game points.
yeah. So yeah, but I mean, but overall, really good. And I see in the chat here that Winnie the Pooh Hug is saying that this game has shown up on a lot of top 10 lists. And you're right, I have seen Whistle Mountain on quite a few lists. So, and
It's a great game.
there's a
Yeah.
good reason for that. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't. It's on Tabletopia. So yes, we kind of explained the reason why you might be like, oh, it's it's a lot going on, but it's worth at least trying if you're able.
Yeah, just go into it with the expectation that, well,
Exactly.
it's going to be a lot.
All right, so we're gonna scooch on over to the next one on my list. If I can get it to work, I click off the screen and it does things. There we go. So Fort, and I think this came up on the Dice Tower on quite a few lists, if I'm not mistaken. Fort is not a game I shouldn't say I didn't expect to not like it. I just didn't think it was going to be one that I'd play so much. Like when we first got it, I think we played it quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken.
We played it twice in one day,
Right.
and it was on TTS, which is just like everybody knows how much that how much of effort that takes.
Oh, Winnie the Pooh Hug, thank you. I wasn't sure. So Tracy, thank you. I keep like stumbling over, even though I know what it is. So thank you for that. But yes, Fort was really good, and I think when I got the actual game, I really appreciated the time they took to make the cards, like good quality cards, because it definitely they were kind of hinting, this is a game you're going to play a lot, so you need some durable cards, and that was evident. I like the art. I think it's cute. I understand it's not something that appeals to everybody, but I thought it was cute for the game. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I didn't mind that art style at all for what we were playing. I mean, I like the theme of it. It's cute. Who didn't make forts when you were kids and, play around and, the floor is lava and all kinds of stuff. So your imagination can be taken away in something like this. I definitely found learning the game, I thought, was a little, not hard, but I'm not getting the right word out that I want to say.
There's a bit of a barrier to the entry, not
Right.
intentionally. I think it's the iconography. Well, for me, it's the iconography that there's a lot of it, and Leader Games does a great job with the player aid.
Sure.
And using the iconography consistently, but there's a lot.
I struggled a little bit. Like, and I think it'd be like, okay, what does this mean again? Oh yeah, like I had a hard time getting it to stick, and it doesn't mean that they did it badly or it wasn't done well. It just, for me, it just wasn't something that was resonating right away. So I was very glad that there was a player aid, because if I didn't have that, I would have been in trouble. I would have needed that rule book constantly in hand. But then after you play it for a while, or a couple times, you do get used to it. So Fort for me, really enjoyed it. This is definitely one I'll be keeping in the collection.
Fort's on my list later.
Well, we can talk about it now. Oh yeah, yours is numbered. I forgot.
It's numbered. I will say one comment. You talked about the art style. What I do appreciate about I also like it. I think it's cute and like whimsical and very charming. But I also like that it felt very inclusive. Like there was no like they had like it just felt very inclusive, and I liked that. I like that publishers in the industry are leaning more towards a more inclusive art style and just board games in general.
Absolutely. I did have some concerns about the color selection for the pieces. Some of them are very close together in color, and I had a hard time kind of distinguishing. So that was a little iffy, but I mean, now minor things. I mean, for some people that might be a big thing, but that's something to consider. But I see Kim in the chat. Fort, we love it too. Oh, they thought the pizza and toys would be larger pieces, but I guess they're kid size. That actually is a good rationale. I like that. All right, what's up?
Oh, so it's me.
Yeah.
My number 8 is Mandy's favorite game. Just kidding.
I'm like, is it?
Stay Cool.
Yeah, it's a game.
So, this one, I'm not cheating. I just need to put this disclaimer out. Technically, BGG lists it as a 2019 game. However, it only came out in French in 2019, and it was released in English in 2020. So it counts, I believe. So Stay Cool is... I'm just laughing thinking about Mandy playing this game.
Oh, it was horrendous.
And Mandy will tell you all about it. But Stay Cool is a party game in which One person is answering questions. One person is being asked questions by two different people. Not at the same time. There's a little bit of order to it. But you need to respond to one of the person's questions out loud,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to write using dice, showing letters, the response to the other person's questions. And it's all kind of happening at the same time, and you're being timed, and it's this big chaotic mess of fun. But it's not like a trivia game. Like, it doesn't matter how much you know. Like, the questions are fairly simple. Like, some of them even ask you to like spell water backwards. So it's not a test of how much you know, but rather a test of sort of how calm and cool and collected you can stay under a heck of a lot of pressure. And for me, I just love it. I think it's a blast to play. I love being in the hot seat and sweating, and just being so nervous. And I also love just watching people like crumble under pressure. It is one of the funniest games to watch being played. Like, every time I've played, there has been like tears of laughter just like streaming down people's faces. So you just look like such a mess.
I
when you
really had
play.
hoped you would have like downloaded a little bit of video. You know, I had video of this, and I should
I
have.
have video. It's on my Instagram of me playing and us. Actually, it's also on my Twitter of us playing. Mandy and our friend Steph were asking me questions. And go ahead, Mandy. You can tell the
Oh
story.
no, please go ahead, because it was traumatizing for me.
I don't even remember what happened, but the question, I was answering the questions, and the question reader was reading the question to me, but they couldn't get it out. And so it was just like, I was like, I only have so much time. I need you to ask the question. And Mandy's laughing because she's not involved. And the person who's reading the question can't read it because I guess it was too funny. I forget what it was, but I think it had something to do with like a hairless rat
Oh, it
or
was
something.
so weird. Like, it was just
It
a
was
weird
very
question.
strange. And there was like a house mouse or it's on social media. You can check out my account and you'll find it there. I'm pretty sure I'm wearing the same beanie if you want to like quickly look for it in the thumbnail. But Stay Cool is a blast to play. The unfortunate thing is that when it came out in 2020, it came out in March, which was like peak COVID-19 sort of exploding and the world shutting down. And this is not one that I think would translate well remotely or like over video chat.
Red Meeple
So
Mash, right? Red Meeple Smash.
Smash.
Yes.
Yes. Or are you finding
No, no,
it?
I'm putting it if people want to know what your
Oh, okay.
Instagram is, if they want to look it up. So,
Gotcha. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
It's also on my Twitter, which is the same handle,
Sure.
Red Meeple Smash. But yeah, Stay Cool is a lot of fun. But it's not for everybody. Mandy, tell us why.
So I have a really hard time with speed games, and let's be clear, and I have to say this because people always worry, like, oh, if you can't do a speed game, it's because it's less smart. It has nothing to do with that. It gives me severe anxiety. We're playing them, and it's like my body just goes, oh gosh, what do I do? What do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I like to plan things out a little bit, so when I can't do that, and it's funny because I don't like to plan in games, but this is like, it gives me no choice. And it's funny because in real life I'm a procrastinator, so I get things done really well under pressure, but I don't like this. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it. Watching other people do it, I find highly entertaining, but I personally have no desire to do it. Doesn't mean it's a bad game. Absolutely not. It's just not a game for me. So if you like these games that have a bit of that kind of timed pressure, it's a little silly fun. Plays well with big groups. Absolutely, I think you should try it. If you're like me and you're not really big into speed games, this is not going to change your mind. In fact, it might make you slightly more traumatized than you were going into it. So,
Fair.
great to sit back and watch if you're in my shoes. But if you're like Ashley and you like that, absolutely, it's a great game. It just wasn't for me.
Exactly. And I'm seeing a lot of people have not heard of this game, and
Yeah.
that's fair. Like I said, it unfortunately came out around peak COVID-19 exploding
Right.
over the fall. And so
I can't even offer to do a playthrough of it because I would be a horrible representation of that. I'm not joking. You would never play it if you watched me play it.
we could do like a mini playthrough where it's just like you and like Suzanne asking me
Yeah,
questions.
I think that would be
and I'll
the
be
best way.
like, ah!
Keep me
That's
off
basically
screen.
what the video is on my social media.
Yeah, no, not me.
So yeah, so my number 8 is Stay Cool.
All right, what's next up on my list? Oh, here we go. Funny enough, I ended up just giving this away, my city. So when I say giving it away, we played through it and I had 2 extra boards left. So I ended up giving it to someone who could play with 2 players. So my city is, well, it's one of these games I thought I'd never play because it's a continuation. It's one that, has a story and I guess would you say campaign? I don't know what the technical
Legacy. It's a
Legacy, thank
legacy.
you. I always forget Legacy. Legacy kind of game. And I usually don't finish these because they take a really long time to play. I just don't have the time with all the games that I have to play. But this one we managed to do, like, I think we'd play, what, 5 or 6 games back to back, on one day? Because I think they're, what, 20,
There's 24 games,
24
which
games.
when we first started talking about it, I was like, how are we going to play 24 games when we don't actually like play in person anymore
Yeah.
because we can't. But we did it.
We did, and I thought it went really well. And if you like polyominoes, I don't want to give away too much because you want to be surprised a little bit. But yeah, if you like polyominoes, if you like being tested on how you place them, that sort of thing, I think this might be a game you'll enjoy. And I had a little bit of a losing streak in the beginning. Okay, like a big losing streak. And then it's like, oh, picked me up a little near the end, and then I kind of just flatlined out a little bit. Doesn't mean I won, but at least I didn't feel like I was always behind for the entire game, which is something I felt when I played, what's the one there? Charterstone. I didn't enjoy my play of that. It was fine, but I just found like once you were like lost, you were always like I was always losing. I could never get ahead. Versus this one, at least it gave me a semblance of yes, I might have a chance, and makes you feel good about yourself. So I like the fact that it took into account that people are going to play differently. So people who are playing a certain way might get penalized a little bit if you play that way in a certain part of the game, but then you may be able to pick it back up again near the end. So My City is one I thought could be played by a range of people. Like difficulty wise, it's not super super hard.
Yep.
My brain doesn't work well with spatial arrangements, but I like kind of doing this as an exercise, and this one was good, just the right amount of think for me. So I really enjoyed it. So My City is one you can try, and you can play the game after you've done the campaign stuff, or sorry, once you've kind of gone through all the games. For me, we played it so much. I was good after the 24 games. For me, I was good, but I still enjoyed it. So My City was one I quite liked.
Me too. My City is not on my list. Doesn't mean I didn't like it. There's just too many good games. But what I really appreciated most about My City is how it balanced everything. So like, without spoiling, like there was a focus at some points on the way you place the polyominoes. Other times there was other things that you could do that would also help you succeed, but maybe not in like a direct point gain way. Again, I realize how vague that sounds.
What can you do?
But I don't want to spoil.
Exactly.
And I thought, like, for Mandi, for instance, you were saying that, like, you had a losing streak and then you came back. Mm-hmm. I only won, I think, a couple of the games themselves. But because I did all of that extra stuff, I ended up winning the campaign overall. So, like, I really liked the way that balanced and that worked. And like you said, 24 games was enough.
Yeah.
Again, not that it's a bad game, just that, like, that 24 games of a single game is a lot to begin with.
It is. Absolutely.
So yeah.
And it played well virtually. I mean, we played it for a while without you having the pieces, and then we're lucky that we live in the same city, so I was able to at least drop them off, and then we could play that way. But yeah, it totally works if you want to play it virtually as well. So, yeah.
And we did a stream on To Die For Games, a spoiler-free stream.
You're right. So you can play along. Actually, yeah, if you want to play along, you can. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Sorry, it's me. Yeah. My number 7 is Demeter.
Nice.
Oh, this game is so good. So this is another roll and write game. And I was feeling a little bit bad about talking about it because it's only available in Europe right now. However,
you can get it.
I saw that some retailers have imported it and it's now available in North America. Specifically, I saw Board Game Bliss. Shout out Board Game Bliss.
And Americans, you can order from Board Game Bliss. So just FYI, it's kind of expensive, but I think that's just because it's an import.
It is. Exactly, because it's an import. This, to me, is one of the best crunchy, thinky, combo-tastic, Euro-style roll and write games I've ever played. It's just so good. It's so simple. Like, on every turn, 5 cards get flipped up, and you choose one of those cards to use. That's it. You do that 12 times in the game. But the way that everything triggers and fires, and it's like, you use this one card, which then lets you do this move and gives you a bonus action here, which then gives you another thing to unlock here, and then you can score this thing here. And it's just like, it makes your brain like want to explode with all the cool things you can do, but in such a good, exciting way.
Yes.
So yes, Demeter is 100% a great game. I love it so much. Yeah. And it plays solo. Yeah. And if you have the game, you can get achievement things on the website. You can get a free expansion. Chef's
Chef's
kiss.
kiss. I knew that was coming. And so did Tracy, apparently. Tracy said, I just had a feeling this would show up on Ashley's list, and you would be correct. But it's a good pick. I really liked it. The only reason why I didn't have it on this list because I had some other ones that were also very good. So, but definitely it is one that I think you should at least try it. It's again on that kind of meatier side of a roll and write. So if you can, if you that's what you're looking for, then this would be it. Again, if you're looking for a short roll and write, this probably isn't the one for you. But if you do want a little bit of that extra in your roll and write, this is a nice one to try. And well, if you like space, don't anybody say it.
It has nothing to do with space though, because I'm not a space person.
Sure,
either.
but I'm just saying. Some people see the cover, and they're like, "Oh, it's spacey." Sure. I mean, technically, it does have that feel to it, but it's not overwhelmingly so. So maybe that's why I'm like, I'm okay with it.
Well, to be fair, actually, I remember the day that Suzanne suggested we play, because Mandy, this is another one that plays really well remotely.
Yes.
And in fact, Mandy and I kind of did a playthrough of this on the Dice Tower for Gen Cant. And I say kind of because we were both present, but Mandy was having some technical difficulties, so I ended up playing solo. So you can go and actually like download a sheet and play along with us if you'd like to try it. Oh my gosh, I forget what the point. What was I talking about?
I have no idea where that was
space
going.
thing. Suzanne was like, we could play this game, Demeter. And Mandy and I kind of were like,
yeah, space.
Okay. And then Suzanne was like, oh, it's by Sorry We Are French. And I thought, oh, and she said it was a roll and write. So I was like, I'm sold. Sorry We Are French also designs a game called Ganymede, which is another game that I don't think got as much love as I think it should.
Yeah.
But it is a really good, very thinky engine building game. Think along the lines of like Splendor, but Splendor Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It has that extra meat to it that I love.
You weren't selling me at the Splendor part, so like it's space.
No, I know.
Splendor-esque.
It also has nothing to do with space. Well, it kind of has something to do with space, Ganymede and Demeter. But again, it's just like so ever so like delicately pasted on.
Got it.
It's fine.
So, and Mikhail says, I think Mandy has become a space game fan. Bite your tongue. I'm just kidding. I think space games have been getting better. Do you know what I mean? I think for a long time, I felt a lot of space games were very, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but it just didn't have any, if you liked space, great. That was like enough to sell it for a lot of people. But I feel now that they have to work for it a little bit more. They're putting different types of mechanisms in there that go, okay, I like where this is going. While it's space, I see it's interesting. And I think that's the change. In all seriousness, I really do think that's where it's going down. So, absolutely. No one believes what I'm saying.
I understand. For me, space equaled 4X style game. And I am just not a 4X person. And so I would just not enjoy the space themed games. I also don't care about space very much, period. I know that sounds really dumb. But like I'm not like into the aliens and like, oh, these planets. Like none of that really interests me. And so both of those things made me shy away from space games as well. But like you, Mandy, there's more to space games.
Oddly enough, though, I like the outlying things. Like I loved X-Files, right? So I love like that kind of, supernatural, extraterrestrial. Like I liked that, or I like astronomy. But if you had to like just say space, not necessarily. It's weird. I don't know. But then again, I also watched Deep Space Nine when I was a kid. Go figure. I don't know. I mean, I like Deep Space Nine, but it was different because people hated it because there was so much conversation and not enough exploring. But I like the diversity of the show, okay? So everyone needs to just relax on that one.
I'm sorry that we're hurting your heart, Omar. We'll stop talking about space. I'll go back to my regular screen. There we go.
All right.
Your turn, man.
It's a thing. So the next one and keep in mind, I may not have 10 that come up because 10 to match Ashley's or games, but if she's spoken about it already, I'm not going to bother putting it back up. So let's go to scene number 6, the search for Planet X. Wow, just after we had a whole discussion about space.
Space!
However.
Also, this is on my list.
However, I was corrected, and someone said this would be more astronomy, I guess, more than space, which I'm going to agree with. I know, I'm getting lots of LOLs in the chat, but whatever, we're gonna go with it. So, again, a game I didn't think I'd like, but I like it because it's pure deduction. Now, social deduction, deduction, straight up, I can appreciate it. The theme wasn't kind of, vibing with me at first, but I said, let's give it a try. The biggest thing I liked about this game when you're trying to find, Planet X, is that you can play it at a variety of difficulty levels. So, of course, I played it on easy. That's right. No shame in my game. Literally no shame in my game. While, Suzanne or Ashley or other people I played with could play at a higher difficulty, we're all still in our own right. Like, no one's going to have an advantage, so to speak. I mean, obviously, you want to play to your level of skill, but for me, just dipping in for the first time, I was like, well, let me just try it there. And it takes me a little longer to get there. I get there. So for me, I didn't pick the super easiest, but easier level. And I thought it went over really well. I don't even know who ended up winning in our games, but there were a couple times where we had a couple guesses, and I don't think it was always correct. Like I just like the way it was set up that you can kind of determine difficulty ranges for everybody, and this means you can play with children. So if you have children, now obviously at a certain age who want to play, you can make it very, very simple for them, and then, giving them more guesses and allowances, and then just for you as an adult, you can increase that. So I liked the deduction aspect of it. I do like there are other ways in the game to get points, depending on your hypotheses on the different areas of the board. So Search for Planet X, I liked it. Surprisingly, I liked it. That's why I have to say, because I did not think I was going to like this game.
This is also on my list, so I won't say too much, but I will say that I love, oh my gosh, I'm just my brain today. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, I also love that there are a variety of ways to score points in this game, and just because you're good at deduction and finding the planet, for example, does not mean you will win the game.
Exactly.
And that was evidenced in some of the games that we played, actually, where the person who found the planet didn't actually win.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was me, actually. Now that I think about it.
This is so familiar. Looking at the chat, Mikhail says, first game that is on my top 10 as well. Okay, great. Although you're lousy at you know what? And you shouldn't say that. I bet you're probably good at some things, because I found I was really good at some things and then maybe not so great at others in the game. And I think that in itself speaks volumes. So overall, maybe I wasn't like the greatest, but I do think I had some shining moments, and I'm sure you did too. Tracy, astronomy, definitely space related. I don't know what you're talking about. It's space. I guess it could be space adjacent. But you know what? I'm not even going to debate it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with like space stuff, like stars and constellations, or spacey.
As Tracy says, Ashley's feeling a little spaced.
That's fair.
And Kim.
Too much vacation.
Yeah. And Kim. You agree with me. Yay! So your partner plays on the easiest level, and you play at the hardest, and it's usually tight. So see, there you go. There's a perfect example of someone playing the two levels, and it still ends up being, really tight game. So yeah, I think any game that can do that makes people, it's a more welcoming atmosphere for people, because maybe someone goes, I'm not good at deduction, right? But if you say, well, no, you can play and you can have a little bit more guesses to play, so it doesn't make someone feel dumb. Nothing's worse than feeling, ugh, I can't do it. So as a teacher, and I'm sure Ashley as a fellow teacher can understand, you want as many people to be engaged as game as possible and feel good about it. So
it's also it's not fun being the person who is good at deduction and then is playing with people who aren't, and then like it's nothing worse than being like, oh yeah, I know the answer, and everybody here feels bad about it because I got it in 3 turns and it took them 7, for example.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's no fun either.
No one wants that.
So I love that with the Search for Planet X, it's that's pretty smoothed out and isn't really a factor.
I agree. All right, Dash, what's up?
So mine, number 6, has already been mentioned. It is bees. No.
I'm surprised you didn't have something on the screen like Flight of the Bumblebees or something like that.
No, that's the wrong song. Oh my gosh, so embarrassing. I realize my green screen is being wonky, so I'm going to be quick about this. Mandi said a lot of what I feel. This is a great game. Amazing components, love it. Amazing gameplay design. I love bees, and I love that a bee-themed game was done very well, which makes me so happy because they're so cute and they're so good for like the world.
They are.
Okay. Anyway, I won't go on a bee rant. But this is a very abstract game. So if you are not into abstracts, be forewarned. This is very
be forewarned.
Wish I could say I did that on purpose, but I didn't. It's very abstract. So just go into it knowing that it's thematic kind of, but mostly abstract.
Yeah, that's true. I would agree with that. So bees. I feel we talked about it at length when I talked about it, so I won't go too much more into it.
We also did a playthrough of this one. Is it? But we did it on
Twitch. We did it on Twitch.
So maybe that
but I uploaded it to the Salt and Sass YouTube channel, so I'm using that right now as a repository because we cannot simul stream. But yeah, we gotta update that a little bit more. But yes, so you can find it on the Salt and Sass YouTube channel if you want to rewatch the actual play of it. And we even have a little B-roll camera or something, so you can see it a little up close. It's kind of fun.
And we played it remotely. It is hard to play remotely if somebody does not own the game.
Absolutely.
I will just go out there and say that. Yeah. But Tracy has a question for us, but I haven't played Honey Dice, so Mandy, I'm going to throw it to you.
And Tracy, just you hold on to your pants or skirt or anything else you're wearing. it's potentially
or no pants.
Or no pants at all.
This is 2020.
That is true.
Who's wearing pants on their video chat?
It may be coming up soon, so we'll just hang on to that question for a while. Okay, so let's see up here. Well, my list can never be complete without a Vital listener.
A Vital!
So on Mars. And this game, oh boy, I was worried I was going to be, oh goodness, brain burn unbelievably hard and I'm going to hate it. It was all of those things, but I loved it. And it was space kind of related, so it's like, oh goodness gracious. I really liked this game. I liked the... Let me back it up. This game is not easy to learn. I'm going to fly... I mean, any Vital game you play... Well, I shouldn't say that. Gallerist I found very easy to learn. For me, I found it made a lot of sense with the flow. I found Lisboa difficult for me to learn. Not to say that it was a hard game, it was very spread out. This game has a good flow to it, but there's a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like you have a scoring on one side, your actions are on the top, and then depending on where you end up, like you can be on one side doing actions, but it means you can't do stuff on one side of the board. If you're on this side doing actions, you can't do stuff on this side of the board. So once you get it, it's good, but there are a lot of little things to remember. But I did like the kind of smart, the way that the actions worked, making sure that you had to plan a little bit. So if you needed something and you're like, oh, I might run into this resource specifically, we make sure that your little buttons are on the other side of the board, otherwise you're not able to do an action. So, and the whole thing on Mars, right? You're kind of, I guess, terraforming a planet would be the accurate description, because you have a board where you're putting out these little hex tiles and you have your little, and I'm terrible with technical names, but your workers and whatnot to kind of explore it and get on those areas and get multiple tiles in your area in order to kind of like conquer those areas. And it's also going to get you points. Trying to get to certain parts of the board are going to get you additional points because you have tracks, right, that are tracking certain items or things that you get in the game. So this is like a horrible explanation, but it's been a little while since I've played it. But you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So overall, yes, it is a Vital game through and through. There's a lot going on. Yes, there's a high learning curve, but once you get it, and it's quite good. So on Mars, if you haven't played it, definitely check it out. Set aside at least 3 to 4 hours to play it for the first time, even the second time, but well worth it. So if you haven't, give it a go. Tracy, Pooh doesn't wear pants. That is true. Pooh Bear does not wear pants.
On Mars is a game, I love Vital games, and it is one that I really, really want to play, even though it's space themed. And like, oh my gosh, how many Terraforming Mars games do we need? Right. But I know Vital have done a good job with it. But I can only play it on Tabletopia, and I have not yet mustered up the courage to do so. And like I've played Lisboa and some of Vital's other games solo on Tabletopia, and it's been fine. But I've usually played those games in person and then gone back to it and played it on Tabletopia after, so I know the game already and how things work. This one is scaring me, if I'm being honest. I'm feeling very intimidated to play it online. But I would love to, and I suspect that it would be close to my top 10. I don't know if it'd be in my top 10, because there may or may not be another game that will... Well, yes.
Okay, there's more happening. Oh, what's this, Mikhail? If there was only another game where you terraform Mars. I have no idea what you're talking about. Moving on.
Oh, it's me. My number 5. We're number 5, yeah? I did Beast, yes. Number 5 is Fort. Mandy already talked about Fort. I won't bore you with much more explanation. I love Fort. Like Mandy, the second we started playing it, I was just really feeling it. I was really vibing the mechanisms. And like I said, I agree with I agree with all of what Mandy said. But what I will add is that I really love the way everyone is pretty much always engaged in this game, in that like you care about other people's turns because you can follow people. So when I play my action, Mandi and then everybody else around the table has an opportunity to follow it if they have a card that matches that suit. And I think that is just a genius way to keep people engaged, because sometimes in deck building games, especially when you have a really like combo-y turn, you're like, I'm doing this to do this to do this, and other players are like, oh, cool, that's awesome, good for you,
Right.
but it doesn't affect me.
Right.
In this game, it does, and I like that. I like that a lot.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I also love the yard and how any cards that I don't use in my hand basically go on display, so that you can then choose, other people can then choose to sort of recruit from my yard, which thematically is just so cool. Like if you don't play with your friends, they're gonna go find other people to play with. But also mechanically, it's really neat because sometimes you're like, oh, I have this really cool card that works really well with my like engine, but if I don't play it, it's gonna end up in my yard, and someone will know it works with my engine, so they might steal it. And so like I love all of that like mind play.
Yeah.
This one.
No, for it is. I'm sorry, but every time I hear the yard, there's a song that comes into my head, and I can't I won't
don't
sing
talk
it,
about him.
but I can't stop it. I can't help it.
Brings all the boys to the yard, man.
But Keith is saying, following is such a cool mechanism, a la Eminent Domain, Glory to Rome. Yeah, you're right. And there's another one, the Tiny Epic. Vital does a Tiny Epic Galaxy.
Tiny Epic Galaxy.
I'm pretty sure they do a follow there as well. So you're right, and it's funny that I actually think I really like that mechanism. I didn't think I would, but I like that you can kind of take advantage of that. So you're helping people, but maybe not, because in a sense you're kind of taking that turn, but maybe it's not freeing something else up that you'd be able to do on your next turn after you see maybe what other people are going to do. I don't know. I like the intricacy of it. So following, I agree. Very cool mechanism. I have yet.
I like that it's an. Oh, sorry,
no, I was going to say I've yet to play Eminent Domain. I know. I don't own it.
Oh, it's on Board Game Arena. We should play it. It's space, but it's again not space. It doesn't matter. It's actually a really cool deck building game. What I was going to say is that for me, following, it's like just such a natural way to inject player interaction in a game without having to be like use like take that. And like for me, I think that games try to inject a player interaction by doing silly things like take that, and I think that doesn't feel very natural, but following is a natural way in which you can keep everyone engaged on everyone's turns.
Absolutely. And there you go. And Keith just said the exact same thing, keeps you invested on everyone's turn, so that's actually a very good point. So okay. Oh, is it me?
It is, but I can go again.
No, I got one. And I'm looking at the time. I'm like, I'm chatting away here. Sorry. Okay, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. So I think Paladins I had talked about. I don't think Paladins was 2020. Otherwise, yes, it would have been on here as well.
2019.
But Viscounts definitely is up there. And I found that Viscounts had some really cool things that they did in the game, like the tower. That was cool, where you had to put your workers in and you want to try and get them to the top of that tower to get points, but you get bonuses for, getting a certain amount of workers there. Oh, great, you've triggered something to happen. You get those bonuses, but then stuff has to come off. Potentially, you're taking people off or other players off of the tower. So that's kind of that push and pull, which I really like. But you get a lot of points and bonuses by doing that. So that was something I know, Ashley, you or Suzanne really liked that, and I think it worked to your...
Well, we were playing it wrong when we...
True, but I did play it again.
It was Suzanne who
crazy
brutally did... destroyed us.
Yeah. I did play it the right way though, again on a live stream with Renegade. Yeah, and I still found it was a really good thing to do in the game and not ignore. So it is one of those games where yes, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do, but I do recommend kind of getting yourself into certain aspects like the tower. I think even getting a little bit on there is kind of good. I liked the use of the cards where you're placing cards out action, but then they kind of slowly will start to slide off your board and you won't be able to use them. So, this kind of it makes you think of, should I put it out now and it's going to be out for this amount of time, or do I wait? So timing is really important, even on the board, choosing the paths on the board where you want to go. Do you want to go on the high road and take these types of actions, or come down below and take these actions? And sometimes it looks really good and then you realize, oops, can't get to this action, so now you're kind of settling to do something else. And then I like that because I like playing on the fly. Do you know what I mean? Ooh, I'm going to make this work. So that appealed to me in the game very much. So Viscounts for me falls into the above Architects, as in weight-wise, above Architects, below Paladins. So kind of,
100%.
Yeah, right in that range. So if you're like, oh, Paladins was like a lot for me, this might be one that you may want to consider. So Viscounts, the West Kingdom for me was a definite win for 2020.
Viscounts is my number 11, or if you count number 10 as 2, then it would be my number 12. Like, it just didn't. It just fell off the list. Yeah, like in terms of complexity, 100%, it is more complex than Architects and less so than Paladins. For me, that's also where my enjoyment falls. Like, Paladins I love, Viscounts I like a lot, and Architects is just like it's fine. It's a good game. I'll play it, but I'm not going to ask to play
Right.
it. So yeah, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, so there you go. What's up
Good
for
pick.
you? Thank you.
Oh, my number 4 we have yet to talk about, which I'm excited. Tekenyu, Obelisk of the Sun, a huge, big, thinky, brain-burning, beautiful Euro game.
This is on my list. This is actually going to be my next one. So
why don't you talk
no,
about
no,
it
no,
first?
please. I just blabbed on about Viscounts. You talk about this one, and you'll
That's
probably do a better explanation.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's just so much going on in this game. Thematically, whatever. You're basically dice drafting, right? And in order to build a bunch of stuff. What are you building? Pyramids. It's been a while
Pyramids?
since
I
I
know there's
played.
like an obelisk
Pyramids,
and
houses.
yeah.
You're getting cards in order to do like bonus things. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on. But at the end of the day, it is a dice drafting game in which the dice that are available. So when you choose a die, much like a game like Coimbra, the color of the die and the number matters for various aspects. Same thing in Tekenyu. Also, depending on the round, like the obelisk, the gimmicky part of it is that there's an obelisk in the middle and it rotates every round, making some dice more available than others, and some not available at all. And that's really cool. I really like that. You talk for a
No,
second.
you're saying all the things that I liked about it. Again, this is another one of those games you're like, oh my goodness, it's a lot. But I have to tell you, I found learning this one not too bad. Yes, there was a lot, but I didn't find it overly difficult. Do you know what I mean? Like once you played a couple turns, you kind of had a, okay, I see. I feel in this game you want to kind of explore the different areas for your first play to kind of see how it works. And then once you've got that, you're like, okay, I figured that out. So for me, I did like that part of it. Now it could probably help that we had some really good teachers as well. But
no, but I think the organization of the board really lends to making that easy, because basically the obelisk is in the middle, and then each kind of wedge branches out into it's hard to explain when you're just talking like this, but branches out into a section of the board. So if you take a die from here, you know that you can do an action in this chunk of the board. And I think that helped a lot to visualize it.
Absolutely. And we were playing it on Tabletopia?
Yes. Yeah, we played it on Tabletopia.
Yeah. I have the physical copy again. This is one people are like, oh, would you play this one solo? Again, it falls into that camp of PAX Premier. I would love. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't love playing solo, but it's a game I would definitely like to show on screen. Maybe we could do it as a playthrough. I'd be totally down for that. But we'll see how that goes. But it is one that I really enjoyed. And we played it like a few times. It wasn't just one like, oh, it's heavy. Okay, got my fill. Like, played it like a few times. Like, oh, I want to play that again. So I really liked it.
And that's for me a testament to a good game when I've like played it and I want to play it again and I'm still thinking about it and different things that I could have done and how I could improve. Like that is just, to me, is the sign of a really good game.
Absolutely.
I will say, so I see that some Tracy is saying that it's on some solo lists. I have yet to play it solo because I'm very particular about the way I play solo games, and I don't know about Tekenyu, so I'm not going to speak about Tekenyu, but I will talk about Teotihuacan. The solo mode in that one basically made me feel like I was playing the game as a second player, as opposed to some solo modes that I like that are just, there's less upkeep. So I'm worried that Tekenyu has that as well.
Yeah, see?
I don't know. I'm not going to speak to the solo experience because I haven't played it yet. I will definitely try the solo game when my copy eventually decides to show up at my door, because it's taken forever, but it's fine. I'm not bitter.
I'm not mad at it.
So that's how I'm feeling. Like Trismegistus, for example, too, has a solo mode that it's not my style of solo.
Yeah, anything with a dummy player, I'm sorry, not gonna happen. I I have enough time managing my own things and remembering, so trying to no. And I'm looking at the chat and people are saying, yeah, it plays fine solo, but better multiplayer. So Tekenyu might stay for me as a multiplayer. We'll see. Jonah, hello and welcome.
Either way, Tekenyu, an excellent game, board and dice with their very hard to pronounce T games. Keep putting them out because I'm loving them.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good choice. That's definitely agree with that one. All right, let's see now. So the next up on my list, well, I think I missed one, but
don't talk about the one that I think you're going to talk about right now.
Well,
is it the one with lots of pictures?
It's It is. It is the one with.
Can you save that one?
Oh, okay, fine. I'll come back to that one. I'll come back.
Let's talk about that
And
one.
you know, it's a sign because when I went to press my hotkey button, it like went error.
Thank you, Fates.
Okay, let's see if this one works. Oh, there you go. Did you love how that one worked, but the other one didn't work? Okay, so Project L is one that I actually played at Essen. Eric Summerer from the Dice Tower is the one who taught it to us, and it's actually sitting right here because this is the next one I'm probably going to look at soloing on the channel or at some point. And that one, again, we're dealing with kind of Tetris-like shapes that you're trying to fulfill objectives on these little cards, and you know you have to be able to acquire certain pieces to do so. So it's not just like get a piece, put it in, make it fit. No, like you actually have to do certain things to get those pieces, whether it be trading in certain pieces to upgrade it to the next level to fulfill those objectives. I did back the expansion, so I'm waiting for that to come, but I'm hoping to do a little solo play on here so people can at least see how it is. Or yeah, this one would be hard to play along unless you actually have the game, but
yeah, that's what's keeping me from playing it.
I know, otherwise I'd be like, let's do it on the stream. But so yeah, Project L is, I really liked it, and maybe because Eric was such a good teacher, but the game just hit all the right spots, and everybody at the table really enjoyed it as well. So I like this one quite a bit.
This to me is a game that I think would just like hit that sweet spot and would make me like giggle with glee. You know what giggle I'm talking about, Mandy.
Yes.
But I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I don't have a copy myself. It's not on any digital platforms as far as I know, and I don't think it's one that we could play remotely. So
no, I think this one would be really hard. And Jonah's saying, yeah, I did play this and love Project L. Yeah, it's really nice, and I feel like I like the fact that lots of different people can play it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just a specific grouping, and I like that. So families can play, or if you want to just play as, you know, us two, Ashley could play, anybody. And it's challenging solo. Oh dear. Okay, so what you're telling me is if I play this solo, it's going to be a very short stream. Good to know.
Just play 2 games.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So, Project L. There you go.
All right. Mandy, do you have many more left?
I have. No, so I'm going to skip the screen that you wanted me to, and then I have one more. That's it.
Okay, so do you want me to do... Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. I got this. My number 3 is Exit Theft on the Mississippi. And let's be clear, I'm not cheating because I'm not putting all the Exit games that were released in 2020. I'm only specific... not that they weren't good. The Exit is just, like, beautiful. But Exit Theft on the Mississippi, my goodness, this game. If any of you have played Exit Dead Man on the Orient Express, which was released in 2018 and was also on my top 10 of that year, you will know that it combined an escape room with like a mystery, kind of like a detective style. And if you were listening from the beginning, you know that I like that because Chronicles of Crime 1400 was on my list. Oh my gosh, this game, Mandy, it's Exit Theft on the Mississippi is basically a follow-up style to Dead Man on the Orient Express.
Did I not play this one?
So it has you, me, and Suzanne did a live stream.
That's what I thought. Okay.
On Dice
Like it's familiar.
So it's an escape room game mixed with no, this one isn't a murder mystery. This one is just a mystery. And it is so good. You should know that I love Exit the game, period. For me, the best escape room system that exists, escape room board game system that exists. So already soaring to the top of my list. But adding that element of mystery, they just do it so well. And this one, they have the puzzles are character cards, which I just thought was really fascinating because you have to solve a puzzle. And then once you do, the character ends up giving you more information about where they were or like what they saw. And it's just great.
You're like, I just can't say enough.
I just have so much love for Exit, period, that I feel like I just like, blah, 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 it's so good. But this one, if you like Dead Man on the Orient Express, this one is an easy win.
Yes, and I think people are asking about it. We did this one on the Dice Tower. I'll put the link in the chat. Hopefully it goes through.
Do you think that maybe after this video, we should add, because we've done a bunch of these playthroughs.
Well, what I think we're going to do is, we'll go through the video and I'll mark this so people can go to a certain part if they want to hear about a certain game. So, sorry, that's going to take me some time. And then, yes, I think you're right. We should maybe go through and...
We'll just... But yes, so Kim is saying, did you do a playthrough of this with Suzanne? Yes, and I also was there, Kim. But yes, it's we did a playthrough of it on the Dice Tower, a live playthrough, which was really fun.
It was, and we said we were going to do another one, so I'm waiting for the follow-up for that because we do have another Exit game So,
So much
just saying,
shade.
just saying. We said we were
Waiting
gonna do
for that follow-up.
it. But I did put the link in the chat if people want to check it out. And people, it was great because we got people to play along a little bit, which was fun. So that was really nice. All right.
So yes, that's the one that we streamed.
Yes.
Go exits.
Okay. So let me go to my last screen because let me do my last one, and then Ashley, the floor is yours because I think you have more to talk about. So.
Well, is it? We have one that we wait. Go ahead. You go ahead. It's fine. We probably should have talked about this more in advance.
Nah, it's fine. It's our comfy chat. People are cool with it. Okay.
Oh, you have two. This is perfect.
I got a double shot. Double shot. I feel like I want to say double shot of.
Mandy's cheating too. Everybody.
Double shot of love. If anybody gets that reference, you will 100% make my day. But yes, double shot of love. Game board love. So wait, board game, not game board. Board game love. Wow, I'm tired. So Honey Buzz and Lost Ruins of Arnak. So I hadn't played these when I did the Dice Tower top 10. So if people, actually lots of people in the chat will know, I just did the Lost Ruins of Arnak as a solo, and I also did Honey Buzz as a solo on this channel. So we can link those videos later. They are longer, but I just kind of bumbling my way through, and I liked both of them solo, which is like, first of all, that's major news, which I never thought I would. And the games themselves are quite good. And I know Ashley will like Honey Buzz because, again, another game, it's very straightforward. You know, you put your worker here, you get this tile, put it in your little honeycomb there. If you close off certain spaces, you get to action all the pictures on the tiles within that enclosed kind of honeycomb. And having enclosed areas, you can get nectar to put in there to collect nectar, so in order to complete objectives. So very straightforward. In the solo game, you're using these kind of other worker bees that prevent you from going to certain areas. And in essence, there's a kind of a stock market board. They can actually have an action that reduces how much money you can get by selling certain nectar. So yeah, so I mean, it does kind of, take away some things that you can do. So that's what the solo version does. But Honey Buzz, and I kept saying Honey Bees when this came out because I was talking about bees. It's Honey Buzz. Quite good. I really liked it, and I have to say, if you haven't tried it, you should. I'm all about the bees, and yes, sure, I love bee games, so that's probably going to lend my hand a little bit. Like, try all the bee games, but it's actually quite good. And it is different enough from bees that you could have both. So they are different games. So that's what people are like, oh, but it's about bees. Yeah, sure, but how many games do you have about space? Exactly. So definitely these are two games that you could have in your collection, and they do very different things. Weight-wise of games, I definitely think they fall into the same kind of weight level, but you definitely have a lot of variability in both. So check out Honey Buzz and Bees. I think both are good. Lost Ruins of Arnak, yes. The buzz about that one, oh, good gravy, is quite good. Everyone's been saying how good it is. I started playing the solo and was like, no, it looks like a dummy player. Gave it another shot. It's not really. You kind of just flip a tile, do a thing, and it's done. Like, it's not labor intensive, but I would like to play this multiplayer. So it made my list, but with contingencies, as in it was really good solo. I would like to play it multiplayer. I think it will play well multiplayer, but I definitely think there'll be a lot more blocking happening, which would change kind of my method of play. So I could see it going in a really good direction, but Lost Ruins of Arnak is quite good as well. Worker placement, very good.
Now, going back to the question that was asked,
yeah,
bees versus Honey Buzz, if you had to choose.
Oh, it depends on my mood.
Bearing in mind, too, that I think you've only played Honey Buzz solo. Is that correct?
That's another thing. I've only played Honey Buzz solo. It's like Lost Ruins of Arnak. I think if I played with people, I think the real estate on the board would change significantly, and that might make it a more, not intense, like I don't think it would be mean, but it would definitely change my thought process and way of play. So it would be hard to do it. If I based it on just, and I mean, you can't play, unfortunately, Bees solo, you can play Honey Buzz solo. So if you are looking for a solo game, then Honey Buzz obviously would be the way to go because Bees does not play solo. Weight-wise, they're both really good. I'm actually keeping both in my collection because I like both, and I like Bees, so that helps, but let me play.
Mechanically, they sound different enough, too.
They are.
That, like, it's hard to compare an abstract versus like a tile placement kind of game.
Yeah, unless you're like, I don't like abstract games, then it's clear. Or I only play solo games. Well, then this is going to work for you. So let me play it with more people. And yes, I know they're different, and I can maybe give you a better answer. But for right now, I'm keeping both. And I'm not just saying that because, yes, they were provided to me as review copies. I have to tell you, I probably would have bought these anyway. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
B games, yes.
Of course.
For sure. Mandy, how many more do you have just one more?
And that's the one you want to talk about. So I'm technically done.
Okay. So let me go through some of mine. if you don't mind taking a little break.
No, go ahead. I'm
I'll be
going to
quick.
sip and read the comments here, so go nuts.
So my number 2 is The Search for Planet X. Surprise! Mandy already talked about this. Everything that Mandy said and the chat said, and that I interjected a little bit in with, stands true. Deduction for me is one of my favorite mechanisms in games. I think it's just works for my brain. And I just love trying to figure that out. Mandy, actually, was it the very first game that you and I ever played together? No, that's a lie. One of the very first games that we played together was Cryptid. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember Cryptid. I do. I liked that game too. It was good.
And we were sitting in Mandy's basement, and I was like, I had just met Mandy like recently. It's like, do you have like some paper? I need to take notes. And she's like, you can have my gaming notebook. And I just like frantically was scribbling my like, notes in her gaming notebook. But Search for Planet X. One, I love deduction games, but I find sometimes with deduction games, and again, not social deduction, just deduction, that sometimes other mechanisms can get added to the gameplay and can kind of distract away from the deduction. Like Alchemists, for example, has like a worker placement, but also a deduction. And all I want to do is do the deduction. So I end up doing very poorly because I don't focus on worker placement and like the rest of the strategy. I just do the deduction. And I'm like, well, I got all the elements. And everyone's like, but there was more to it than that. The Search for Planet X, I can focus on the deduction, even though there are other things that will score points. Does that make sense? And I'm not always very good at the other things because I want to focus on the deduction, but at least I'm not penalized too much for it.
Yeah.
So Search for Planet X is just a beautiful deduction game.
And you mentioned Alchemist, and I have to tell you, when I played Alchemist, which I enjoyed, another kind of true deduction game, I was reticent to come forth with my hypotheses and things. I don't know why. I wasn't in Planet X. I didn't really care as much, but I was a little apprehensive in...
I wouldn't say that it's a true deduction game.
Okay, I shouldn't say true deduction game, but it is more on the deduction end than some others. So it definitely is an element of it, and that's why I know people who, and maybe I didn't word this properly, people who like deduction do tend to kind of say, oh, I really like Alchemist because it does make their brain work in that kind of way. All that to say that I found myself more comfortable to go kind of push forward with my thoughts on I think it's here, I think the planet's here, versus Alchemist. I felt like I didn't want to. I don't know why. I just felt like I sounded like, ooh, I don't know if that's right. I don't know why that is. It just, the approachability wasn't there for me, but... And Paul in the chat says, Search for Planet X is my number 1. Incredible design, fantastic production, especially the deluxe, of course. So rewarding to feel like you're doing research. Beats Cryptid by a bunch for me. So... there you go. So people are kind of weighing in on that, which is nice.
I would agree with that. For me, one of my most favorite pure deduction games pre-Search for Planet X was Sleuth, which is basically like if you took, it's a Sid Saxon game, it's very old, but if you took Clue and got rid of all the junky roll and move stuff, that is Sleuth. And I find that Search for Planet X is very on par with that, where it's just like, use your brain, go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Cryptid does that as well. But the thing that really frustrated me with Cryptid, and I don't know that I'll ever play it again, is the human error element of it. I played it once. Someone made a mistake on their clue.
Yeah.
I quite literally felt like I was going insane because I knew what the answer was. They were adamant that it wasn't. And I was just like, there is no other possibility for where this Cryptid is. And then at the end, they were like, oops. And I was like, I need a minute, please. Because I was feeling frustrated with the game, not with a person. And I didn't want to make it seem like to upset them and make it seem like I was upset with them.
At that point, yeah.
So Search for Planet X eliminates all of that because it relies on an app. So you have no element of human error, unless it's your own, which is like, that's your own fault.
Yeah.
So yeah. So before we get into my number 1 and Mandy's, what I'm going to say is Mandy's number 1, even though it's not her number 1, I have cheated and I have added a couple things to my top 10. First is my favorite app of the year. Mandy, do you want to take a guess?
I'm going to say it could be Root.
I forgot about Root.
Okay, so it's not Root. That's actually where I thought it was. I can tell you which one it isn't, but we won't go there.
We're not.
Yeah, we won't go there.
It's a happy.
I'm trying to think. It's like I had my brain just.
I don't think you're gonna get it.
I can't even think right now of games because I have so many, and I'm thinking of which ones we played. So anyway, I can't think of it. I for sure thought Root would have been up there, but
I'll tell you why Root didn't make the list in a
Okay.
second after I reveal. So it is
Oh,
Roll for the
that was fun.
Galaxy. This game, I started beta testing it earlier in the year and just was obsessed with it. Roll for the Galaxy for me is just like, it's a good game. I have no strong
Yeah.
feelings about it one way or the other. But my goodness, the app is so good. It's so, so good. And it plays so well on mobile. It plays so well on like Steam. It's just, it's designed so wonderfully. And Mandy, you and Suzanne did an apptastic for it, right?
Yeah, and I had played Roll for the Galaxy, the actual physical copy, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. I actually preferred Race, but I actually really like the app for this one quite a bit. So, yeah, it was good. I mean, I don't think I won, but that's okay. But I still really enjoyed my time with it. Yeah, and it can be played across different platforms, which is really nice. Like you can play it on Steam or you can play it on your iPad or whatnot. So, yeah.
And it works wonderfully on all platforms. And it plays so quickly when you play against an AI. Like, I think I have logged at least 100 games of it.
Wow.
And it's just because I can play, like, I'm waiting for something. Okay,
Yeah.
5 minutes, here we go. Lunch is ready now. Great. And I played a game of Roll for the Galaxy. You know what I mean? The reason that I think that Root did not make my list is because I play most of my app games on my like phone and not on Steam or my computer. And Root I only have on Steam. And so
Right.
I haven't played it enough. Even though it's an incredible app, my
It is.
goodness.
It's quite good.
Again, another playthrough that Mandy, Suzanne, and I did
Oh wait,
on the
before
Dice
you
Tower.
continue,
No,
that
don't do it, don't do it!
was the best game ever. If you have not watched the Root one, just even if you don't watch the whole thing, just go to the last like 15 minutes, and it'll be like the best moment of your life. It was the best of mine.
Oh my god. Yes, yeah. It was a good one. Mandy, that was you 100% deserve that. Like you did a good job. I'm just embarrassed.
You shouldn't be because you usually beat me. So that was like, yeah, that
You should be. Ouch.
it was a nice. No, I just said you shouldn't be is what I was saying. You shouldn't.
Oh, I shouldn't be. I
No,
thought you said you
no,
should
you
be. I was like,
shouldn't be. So for me getting that win, I was like, I had to resort to a bit of like deflection.
that was good. Okay, and then before my last one thing before I do my number one.
Wait,
and
are you
before
gonna do
talk
abs?
about
Well,
yours.
I didn't put any abs because I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh,
But no. So Root,
yeah.
Root to me is one which we kind of just talked about. So that one was really good, and I don't even know if it came out this year or not. But I really liked Yellow and Yancey. So I really liked it. I think Suzanne and I did a playthrough of this one. I'm pretty sure we did on the Dice Tower on Apptastic, and I really like the implementation. I like the walkthrough of the app. Again, I played on Steam, and that's where a lot of these ones I end up playing because it's easier to stream. I do prefer apps that have a lot of versatility, and I think these ones you can get on other platforms. But I really liked the way they laid it out. It was quite good. So Root for me is up there, and Yellow Nancy was very nice.
Okay, so this last thing before my number one is a new to me game that was not released in 2020, but I played for the first time in 2020, and it is Awkward Guests.
Okay, I hear
Look
so much about
how
this game.
brown this cover is. So brown, so bland. You look at it and you think, what is this game and why is it so hard to find? It's so hard to find because it's so good. It's so good. This is another deduction game. So, surprise, I love it. But, and it's almost actually more like Clue than any other deduction game that I've played, even though I did just say that Sleuth was like Clue. But this is actually like somebody has died with some sort of object in a room, figure out who it is. What I love about Awkward Guests is, one, it plays really well solo, which is unbelievable. Two, it plays up to, I think, 8 and does so fairly well, which again, how? Like that, when a game can play solo and 8 players,
Yeah, that's
you're just
quite the range.
How is that even possible? Like, that is amazing. Also, it has this really genius like card mechanism in it where information is weighted differently. So if somebody is asking you about something, you can say, well, like you can sort of trade information with them. So if I have some information that's valued at a 2, somebody else can give me something that's worth a 2, or they can give me 2 1 cards in exchange. Like, it's really, really interesting the way that the trading of information works in it. And it's really, really good.
I've heard good things.
Man, I have it, so we will play it
Oh,
one
there you go.
sometime.
Because I've heard good things. I didn't realize the cover. For some reason, when I heard of it in my brain, I was like, "Ooh, the cover sounds like it'll be purple and blue and fun." And then I see that, and I'm like, "That is not what I thought that cover was gonna look like." But I've heard really good things about it. Like, and even in the chat, I think Paul was saying that they want to try that as well. So, if you go on BGG, I know lots of really great comments about it. So yeah, definitely want to try out. So as long as it's not social deduction, I think that's what threw me away
No,
from it
no, no,
because
no,
I
no.
thought it was social deduction, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not about that life." So if it's deduction, I'm willing to give it a go.
You might have thought it was social deduction because of the trading element,
Probably.
but it's not like a negotiation. It's more just like you can decide what information you want to give other
Got
people,
it.
and the numbers help you understand the value of it, of like how important it might be.
Okay.
So yeah, so no social deduction, because I too am not really big on social deduction.
Yeah.
Mandy, do you have a new to you game that you would like to talk
If you
about
see the
before
stacks
I
of
do my
games
number one?
that are in my room right now, like you've seen it, and that I have to review, there are so many. I mean, oh, good gravy. I can't even think of it. I won't even get into it because I can't even think of one right now. But I have to say, one that I played recently that I really liked was Strike. So I had only played Strike
Oh,
once. I'd only played it once. And I think it was Rodney potentially, or the Rolling Dice, Rolling. Why can I never say this properly? Rolling Dice and Taking Name guys showed it to me at a convention, and then it was the old version I never played. And I was like, oh, that was fun. And then I was like, I did a kind of a competition thing with all the guys and the girls and everybody else who was playing, and that was on Twitch I think not too long ago for Ravensburger, and they sent me a copy, and I was like, oh, this is like stupid silly game, but it's so fun. I just love it was. I mean, yes, I was on the team that they were gladiators in an arena, and I felt like that playing it. I know it's not. I play a lot of brain burning games. This was nice to just be like, meh, let's just throw the gladiators in the arena and let them fight. It was. I enjoyed that immensely. Silly fun.
so glad to hear that. So I have two more. I have my number one, and I also have, these are games that I haven't played yet, but probably would make my list slide. I think we should just talk about our other games, and then I'll end with the games that like probably would have made my
Yes,
list.
okay, let's do that, and then yeah, that way if
So
people want
Mandy, I would like you to introduce it, because I think it's the same thing, but if it's not, that'll be embarrassing.
to. Yeah, because I think people are probably working and getting off to work. So we'll do this
Yeah.
last one here. So this is not my number one, but it is the last one on my list.
And it is my number one.
And I only have 4 listed here. So I have Cobble and Fog, so Unmatched, Cobble and Fog, Little Red Riding Hood and Beowulf, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Which one am I missing?
The Jurassic Park
Jurassic
was
Park.
released.
And it's because I haven't played that one yet. That's probably why I don't have that one there. But the Unmatched series in general for me, I, believe it or not, actually like these types of kind of battle fighting games. I just don't get to play them a lot. So I like the fact that these characters I like the dual characters that, like Alice can be big or small Alice, or, you can be a different character like the Jekyll and Hyde, where you can, choose like kind of which one you want to be, and each have their benefits, and each deck has their own abilities that you can use, different types of attack, range, melee. I really like this. I can't get enough of it. I would play these all the time if I could. So the Unmatched series, this is a true chef's kiss here. Very, very nice.
Let's look at your face now. Can we see your face?
Yeah, you might want to. That's nice, eh? Hold on. I'm coming back. There we go. Chef's kiss.
There we go. Yes, Unmatched, my number one. I played it for the first time in September with you, Mandy. And since September, all I have wanted to do is play Unmatched, like all the time. If this played solo and out of the box solo, I don't know that I would get anything done, because I am just so in love with this system. It's so simple, but the way that they've built the decks and how unique they are to the set as well as the character, it's just so beautiful to like, to the interplay between the characters and the cards, and do this, and oh my gosh, I love it. I have not played every single character out of these 4. I haven't played every single character in the 2019 ones either. I don't know that I would be able to choose one of these 4 sets that I like best, but I do know that currently my favorite character is Little Red. And side note, Mandy and I have streamed both Cobble and Fog and Little Red on To Die For Games, so you can check those out. Unmatched is wonderful. I am very much a Euro, like, no luck kind of person, and don't really like fighting games. And somehow all I want to do is play this tactical miniatures game. it doesn't really make sense to me, other than the fact that I think that part of the game is trying to strategize and figure out your deck and understand how the cards work
Mhm.
and how your character works. And I think that appeals to like my Euro-y brain.
Yeah.
Oh, Unmatched is just
It's a
good.
tactical. So for those who haven't
Yeah.
figured it out yet, I'm a tactical player. I like to kind of just, let's try this. For me to plan, I find it very difficult. I don't like when my plans get dashed. I'm not particularly good at it. Much like real life, I like to go. It's funny. I do like to plan some things, but I do like when things come up and I have an opportunity to find a way to kind of deal with it on the fly. To me, I think that's a special skill in itself. So I quite enjoy tactical aspect of these games, and I like the fact that you have your own kind of personalized deck, and you can't, I find playing it right out the box is hard. I feel like you have to, when I say hard to truly use your deck to its highest capabilities. I feel you have to know the character, so play it a few times to really understand, okay, if I play this card here, this timing is going to work. It takes time to develop that, and once you get that down, it is beautiful. Like when we played Red and Beowulf, like that took a couple of plays there because I was playing a character, like I played Beowulf, and that was a character that I was not used to playing. I had to be a bit more aggressive, and that's not really my style right out of the gate. So I had to learn how to best use it. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I will say that I'm seeing in the chat that people aren't able to find
Oh, they can't find it?
Little Red
Okay.
yet.
You keep talking.
No,
I'll
no,
find
no,
it.
no, no,
Oh.
no, no. You're good. You're good. Mandy. You're not for that in terms of like
The actual game.
Of the physical game. I think Little Red just was released for pre-order at the end of November, and I think it's shipping in January. So it's technically a 2020 game, but we were fortunate enough that Restoration Games sent us the game.
So we
in
did do a
advance
sponsored playthrough.
to do a sponsored playthrough.
And exactly. I know Jeremy's mentioning The Invisible Man and Sherlock, and I think Ashley, you've played.
I love
those.
The Invisible Man. Yeah. Sherlock is just like okay, but The Invisible Man to me,
you really enjoyed.
I really like. Yeah. And that's the thing about Unmatched is so many the characters are so different that they will appeal to different people depending on their playstyle and what they like, which is just this is just like a pure work of genius. I think I can't speak enough about how much I love Unmatched and how good it is.
No, it's so good, and I think there's something for everybody, and I love seeing that people were like, oh, direct combat, like I didn't think that was gonna be my type of game, and they're like, but this, I played it and I really enjoyed it. And I know some people have played certain decks and felt like, oh, it fell flat for them, but then they tried something else, a different deck, let's say, or a different game, and they were like, oh, but I really liked this one. So it's just one of those things of finding one that works best for you, and that's okay if you only like 1 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? You found something that works for you. There's nothing wrong with that. So
okay, before we wrap up, I'm gonna put a slide of all the games that I didn't play that probably would make my list.
Really?
And I'll give you a quick little rundown as to why. Whoop. Okay, well, this one. Praga Caput
I haven't played this one yet.
However you say it. Haven't played it yet. Love Vladimir Suhi. Underwater Cities. Pulsar 2849. Like, amazing. That also plays solo, which I'm very excited about. I think that this would skyrocket to, like, the top of my list. I have no... Yes. Not the top. Unmatched probably would still stay there. But very high on my list.
I want to play this too. Looks good. And I saw something in the chat before you keep going, and I don't see it on there, but there was one in the chat. I think you saw it as well.
Mikkel who mentioned Praga.
No, but somebody else mentioned an Uwe game that I also want to play.
Oh, Hallertau. Or Tau.
And there was another Bonfire is another
one. Bonfire's there too, yes. Yeah. You go ahead, Mandy.
No, sorry, and I didn't mean to jump in. I got really excited.
No. Go ahead. So, I have 5, and you have
none. 2. So I haven't played it yet, but Hallertau, someone mentioned the Uwe game. I want it. It's really expensive here, so I might have to like hold off on that one for a little while, but I'm really looking forward to trying that out. I mean, it's Uwe. I collect all the Uwe games if I can. And what was the other one I said? I had a blank there. Bonfire. A Feld. Come on. You all know I love Feld. This one has been getting a lot of good buzz. People were talking about it, saying they really enjoyed it. So that is sold out, unfortunately, right now. So as soon as I can get my hands on it, I will be getting Bonfire. So there you go. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Mandy, I have 5. Like you have to talk about
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Kanban EV it just started shipping like a couple days ago. Kanban is tied for my all-time favorite game. Good. So I have nothing but good, like high expectations for Kanban EV, and I know it will be great.
Wait, who's that? So who's that? Is it? Oh, I think I got in trouble for this a little bit when I talked about it on the channel. The worker, the supervisor, is it like
Sandra?
Oh, Sandra! I think I called her Barb or something. I don't remember. It ended up turning into a thing. So Sandra, thank you. Sandra. I couldn't remember.
There's so many inside jokes with our Sandra because the first copy I played, there's like a weird little stain on her, like they're like a blemish on the meeple. So we would just talk about like anyway. I'm not even gonna go into it, but there's a lot of jokes with Sandra. There we go. Star Wars Unlock. escape room games plus Star Wars.
Really?
Probably going to be. I love Star Wars.
Interesting.
Even though I don't like space, Star Wars isn't really just space. It's more about the human aspect of everything and less about the. Anyway, sorry. I'm not going to go in on that. The road about why I like Star Wars and not other space things. But I love Star Wars. I don't love Unlock as much as I like Exit,
Right.
but I think that the theme would help propel that up. Alma Mater. Whoop, I am having such a hard time with this.
Alma Mater. I'm still waiting for that one.
Me too. It's designed by the same design studio as Coimbra, and again, Coimbra is just a beautiful Euro game. Alma Mater, I suspect, will be the same. Plus, it's about school, so like obviously I'm gonna like it. And then finally, the beauty down here. Ooh, where's my hand? Oh, it's not even on camera. There we go. Pandemic Legacy Season 0. I have it. It's sitting on my shelf in Shrink. I'm waiting to organize something where I can play with my friend who I've played 1 and 2 with, but to do so safely. Pandemic Legacy 1 and 2 have been some of the most exciting, eventful, memorable gaming experiences of like my life, and I suspect that Pandemic Season 0 will be the same. Devastating too. There are some like devastating moments in 1 and 2. And I suspect I will feel some of that sadness in 0.
I have not played any.
Rest in peace, Eliza.
I have not played any of them, so I wouldn't know. I thought about 0 because I think the first session or game is on Tabletopia, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought maybe Suzanne and I could give that a go. We shall see. But yeah, do you have anything else to add to this listing of things? So
no, I'm sorry that it was so long, everybody.
That's
Thank
okay.
you for staying with
So I appreciate the chat. We always have such a great chat here. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions or hey, you want to tell us what your number 1 pick of 2020 is, we've got 2 minutes. So if you want to drop that in the chat, we can say, "Ooh, maybe that's one I haven't played it or I haven't heard about." I know one on my list that might one that I would have liked to have made my list. I just didn't have a chance to play it. Is Mariposas.
that I'm still waiting for my copy
it's
too.
Sitting. I have it. I just have no one to play it with. So it's a matter of just waiting to see if I can get that to the table safely. Obviously, but right now might have to be a virtual situation. So we'll see how that goes. But
I suspect if I get a copy, then we could try doing something virtually. I think that would probably work out okay.
And for just so people know, I think for the majority of the games on my list, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, they were provided as review copies. That doesn't mean that I had to say it was good or bad. I mean, I get lots of review copies, but just so you know, on Mars, I actually did buy that one. And that...
Likewise. Same for me. Not all of them.
Right.
Most of them were review copies in some form or another, either for playthrough, live video playthroughs, or for written reviews, which I also write. But again, nobody is saying you have to put this on a top 10 list.
So just
all
people are right. And I see in the chat here, Miguel saying Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion was in their top 5. I've been hearing good things about that, and I actually really want to try it. So that's another one. I know I see Ashley's face, but that is one that I want to try for sure. Absolutely, that's a good choice.
I think it's probably a great game, and I think it's probably a great distillation of Gloomhaven into like a smaller, more compact playing time. Gloomhaven is just not my style of game. I've played it 15 games, and like my city, I don't want to play it anymore.
You had your fill, and that's totally fine. And Kim saying for solo games, I'm playing Camp Pinetop, but for the 3rd mission, I haven't been able to beat it. I've not even heard of this. Interesting. Camp Pinetop. Okay, I'm going to look into it. So, and as always, if there are games that you would like to see us stream. I mean, things have been a little crazy, but we're hoping to get more of a regular schedule back in the new year, so we'll see how that goes.
Put all your solo games in. Mandy will...
there's a reason why I named it my solo series, because I don't know how long that's going to continue, but for the time being, I think next up on the list is either Project L, and I just got Dune, so I will be looking at that one. But yeah, so if there are games you want me to play, I'll try my best. And Ashley, there's a game you want to see us stream, let us know. So look at that. I even got some games in the chat that I haven't played yet, so add those to my list. So there you go. Well, thanks everybody for taking an hour and a half out of your day to sit with us and chat about games. We appreciate you, appreciate everything. And so if there's anything, you can email us at 2die4games at gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter under the same name. Actually, it's 2. It's supposed to be TO, Die4Games. You can find us on Twitter. You can find me. I think I put my little handle on the screen here somewhere, right there.
Let's see if I do it. There you go.
And you can find us Twitter, Instagram, if you have just questions for us directly. That's it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks some of the new people I saw in the chat. We appreciate you coming by. And have a great
holiday.
Happy
New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. and
Bye.
we'll see you soon.